Have you ever lived this? Every morning, the alarm rings, and you drag your exhausted body to work. At the office, you're always the last one to leave. Even on weekends, you take on side gigs for extra cash. You buy stacks of books, sign up for every course, pack your schedule wall to wall. On paper, you look insanely productive. You feel like you've poured in every ounce, swallowed every kind of bitterness. But late at night, when you open your bank account, the number is still painfully small. Life keeps spinning in place. No sign of crossing into a higher tier. This is top-tier logic. I'm Mojo. We see through the logic of money because wealth is the only chip to real freedom in this brutal world. Since we were kids, teachers and elders told us, you reap what you sow. Just keep grinding, success will come. But if that's true, why are the workers under the blazing sun doing the hardest, dirtiest labor, almost always the poorest people on earth? The real reason you stay poor isn't that you don't work hard enough, it's that you've fallen into a trap called busy for nothing. Today, I'll break down the 5 hidden truths behind effort. First point, the most painful one, meritocracy as tyranny. We live in a society that worships work hard, rise up. Society pays you based on results and performance. This system looks fair, right? Harvard's political philosophy professor Michael Sandel calls it the tyranny of merit. It creates an illusion that everyone starts equal. It tricks us into believing, if I just try hard. But the truth? People who succeed purely through hard work are incredibly rare. What really decides how far you go are your hidden, unfair advantages. Sandel pointed out, in 2019, a massive college admissions scandal exploded in America. Wealthy parents from elite families paid hundreds of thousands, bribing test proctors and athletic coaches just to push their kids into Yale, Stanford, and other top schools. It laid the truth bare. While poor people are still being brainwashed with effort changes destiny, rich families had already bought their children's tickets to success. It's not just family background. Talent itself is a brutal inequality. We all know Usain Bolt from Jamaica, the fastest man in the world. But do you know who Jamaica's second fastest sprinter is? His name is Johan Blake. Even Bolt himself admitted, Blake trains harder, pushes deeper, sweats more than he does. But no matter how hard Blake works, he can never overtake Bolt's perfect gold ratio body. Hard work matters. But if you only worship effort and ignore environment, resources, and raw talent, reality will crush you and leave you helpless. Second point, the trap poor people fall into the most. This concept comes from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Picture a rat locked in a cage, running its heart out on a wheel, dripping with sweat. But the faster it runs, the faster the wheel spins. It exhausts itself completely, and still, it never moves an inch. This is exactly what most busy broke people look like. Warren Buffett once spoke of a worker. After his day job, he drove 3 more hours for a rideshare app. On weekends, he took a second job. He didn't rest a single day all month. But all that grinding didn't make his life any better. Why? Because poor people pour every dollar they earn into fake assets and consumer debt that bleed cash flow. Once their salary goes up, they rush to upgrade. Bigger house, nicer car. Their monthly bills and loans spike right alongside. They're just like that rat on the wheel. Income rises, the wheel spins faster. Debt rises, the wheel spins faster still. They can never save real wealth. They stay trapped in the busy broke loop forever. Third point, poor people love a kind of self-comfort called swallowing low-grade bitterness. You see them everywhere, always busy, signed up for every course, bought every book, glued to the office whenever the boss is around. But look closer. The knowledge never makes it past their skull. Their work output stays painfully ordinary. They're just intoxicated by physical busyness, using it to comfort themselves with, "See, I'm trying so hard." Put plainly, they use the labor of their body to cover up the laziness of their mind. That is low-grade bitterness. Here's the thing. Bitterness comes in tears. Doing mindless, repetitive labor day after day, staying up the hardest nights, eating the cheapest takeout, that's just low-grade bitterness. It does nothing for you. It just burns your fuel for nothing. What actually shapes you is high-grade bitterness, the bitterness of deep thinking, the bitterness of restraint, of discipline, the bitterness of sitting alone with a book, learning in silence. A person with busy limbs but a lazy mind almost always gets nowhere. Never fake your effort, because results never play along with your act. If all you do is swallow low-grade bitterness, you'll just become what we call. Fourth point, worse than low-grade bitterness is being too busy to grow. Let me paint you a picture. Take a smartphone. If you use it every single day but never charge it, it dies fast. People are exactly the same. If every day you just keep pouring out energy, handling the same repetitive tasks, and never set aside time to absorb new knowledge or review your own decisions, then you're a phone that only discharges, never recharges. Your energy and thinking eventually run completely dry. The most quiet way to destroy a person is to keep them too busy to look up at the road. Ask yourself, in the past year, you've been spinning non-stop, but how much did your actual skills grow? So many people sprint with their head down for years before they suddenly realize they never moved, because they never lifted their eyes to check if the path was right or if there was a better one. Numb effort is actually a disguised form of comfort, because not thinking, not changing, that's literally the brain's most relaxed state. A real master knows how to carve out time inside the chaos, to recharge. Final point. The deepest law that runs through this whole episode. Wrong direction, no distance will save you. There's a sharp old saying, an iron rod can be ground into a needle, but a wooden one can only be ground into a toothpick. Wrong material, wrong track. No matter how hard you grind, it's useless. If a turtle insists on racing a rabbit on land, it never wins. But if it picks the water, the rabbit doesn't stand a chance. Poor people believe, just keep your head down, and spring will come. So they crowd into thin-margin, brutal red ocean markets, slaughtering each other, doing work that machines can replace any day. But real masters spend serious time studying the landscape, hunting for trends, before they push forward. Choice beats effort. They pinpoint their edge with surgical precision. They find their own blue ocean track. Only then do they pour all their resources and energy in. Effort alone doesn't guarantee success, but when you read the era right and pick the direction where your value compounds, your effort gets amplified infinitely. When you find the right track, every drop of sweat lands exactly where it should, on the chain that keeps you bound. Look at where you stand right now. Are you also stuck in that wheel called busy for nothing, running every day only to find you never moved? Do you also use physical exhaustion to mask the confusion about your future and the laziness in your mind? Remember, this world never gives you rewards just because you suffered. Wealth always compensates cognition. It never pities blind hard work. Starting today, jump off the rat race wheel. Quit the bad habit of using busyness to numb yourself. Spend more time thinking deep. Recharge. Never fake your effort, because brutal reality doesn't play along with your show. Stop the meaningless grind. Lock in your direction. That's the real starting line for jumping out of the bottom wheel. When you learn to sweat with strategic eyes, you'll think today's version of yourself, the one brave enough to stop, think, and start over. If this episode hit home, please subscribe to Top Tier Logic, hit like, and ring the bell. Next time, we keep uncovering the logic behind wealth. I'm Mojo. See you in the next one.